Mike?
Robert.
Is this Mike?
Yeah, my man. Hey, Mike Lee.
What's going on, Mike Lee?
Hey, man, I caught your relationship and law of attraction live radio show a couple months back, and it hit me at the core, dude.
Oh, right. Okay.
And yeah, so I guess this question could go a lot of different ways. I guess I need to see, or maybe hear some guidance on. You touched upon this a little bit earlier, how a lot of the spiritual awakening people are kind of coming from a place of shame to feel like they need to be more of themselves, or kind of make themselves better. Whereas your underlying message is you're good enough no matter what.
Right.
So I was just wondering if maybe you can kind of elaborate on how LOA could in some way be a trap, and I don't know. I don't really know what my question is. That radio show you had that one night, it kind of blew my mind.
Awesome. Well, Mike's, by the way, everyone who's listening, referring to a radio show I did. It's on iTunes. You can go download it and listen for free. That I did on relationships and the law of attraction lie, right? That was the one you're talking about.
Yes.
I think that it feels to me, honestly, well, I'm just going to read you, because why not?
Okay.
In relationship to your question. But I think that it definitely destabilized your system. Like, you had and what I feel like happened for you, Mike, was like everything I said that obviously had some resonance for you. Otherwise you wouldn't be, calling in tonight. It feels like it shook your sense of and it really hit you in your field around making choices, and like where can I actually make choices that affect outcomes, or do I even have free will? It actually is a question for you that I feel like you're struggling with around what's free will. And so let's follow that thread for a minute and hang out with me and see what let's see how you're resonating for everyone else. So in the law of attraction philosophy, I mean, I do sense that there are some real relevant things that are in that philosophy that I personally also align with or feel are true. It's just the way they package and distort it to sell books and to seduce people and their wounded egos into formulas around how to control the universe that really ultimately don't quite work that way, which I obviously addressed on the show. So I think what you're left with is, all right, dude, if you're going to break it down and strip out stuff that makes sense because of the examples I was giving and everything on the show, now how do I know where my power is? I mean, can I even co-create? What does it even look like to co-create? And
yeah.
I thought before it was just about positive focus and then vibrational fields and all that kind of stuff. And so now I feel like I just
rocket to desire,
rocket to desire firing off, and how that and vision boards, and and then focusing, and so there is power in focusing. There is power in, I think, there really is. I mean, and it's one of the things that Mike, it's funny you asked this question tonight, because one of the things that I was thinking of over the weekend was about the power of ritual and how we can make contact with certain spiritual energies and archetypal forces through ritual in ways that actually create alchemy for our lives. I actually know that's true, but it doesn't work in sort of the package of the law of attraction package. So I will say, if you want to know, like where to now kind of start to begin to relocate your will, because this is about free will. This comes down to, and what is true, Mike, is we are fated and free. Both, it's this paradox we live in. We have free will. You can make choices, Mike, that are going to affect your destiny and create certain flow charts and align you to certain things. That's actually absolutely true. I mean, come on, you could go out right now and, align yourself through a choice to a good drink at a bar, or, whatever, a good meal at a restaurant. Or a crappy experience on the subway. I mean, it could be anything. So my point is, you do have that. That is actually real. But there are other higher forces that work as well that we have absolutely nothing to do with, and that are kind of moving and creating. And so it is a co-creative thing. So the way to know, I think, in the most simplistic terms, because it's a complex question and it's a complex answer that I could never be done with, really, but to where your free will is. It's really by beginning to understand where in your interior you have options of becoming conscious of patterns that are already making decisions for you that really disconnect you from a nourishing life, a self-affirmed life, a sense of being present, a present life. That's really, I think, the most powerful place to go with will. And if you look at this from the polarity of those who have no will, which are addicts, it's what are they really trying to get back to? They're trying to get back to that place where they could be present and have a capacity to make choices in presence with themselves. And so we don't have choices everywhere. I mean, I can't decide, how the solar system is going to rotate around, and the sun and the moon and the weather patterns of the earth. But I can have choices about how I'm going to relate to that, and how I'm going to relate to myself in that experience of a sunset or a storm, and let's go metaphorical, the sunsets, the sun rising and the storms of our lives, So I would point you to where the law of attraction would tend to bypass, and that is to this internal, sometimes very messy and dark territory, and also very powerful territory in yourself. Because that's where you're going to find your real answers, is inside your own psyche and inside your own soul contract, that blueprint that's etched in you, really. And go, well, what is my destiny about? What am I here to align with and do? What are the options? And certainly, yeah, absolutely, positive focus is great. I think positivism is awesome. But so long as it keeps you in the moment and in what's real, and keeps you're not denying reality in it, and then it's going to really serve you well. So I think it's about kind of looking inside and going, wait a minute, there's such a dynamic, mysterious universe. We'll never have it all figured out, for one. But what is your truth? What is your truth in it? And don't listen to anybody, not even me, for that. I mean, I consider myself more of the guide that points people toward it, and if it works for you, great. But it's really, how do you find it in yourself? And this really ultimately, I think, just to locate your system, though, and what happened, because I think you kind of had a freak out after that show.
Yeah.
I think it freaked you out because you felt powerless. You're like, holy crap, man, I thought I could control some things in my life that it looks like maybe I can't now. And I'd explore that with curiosity.
And it's weird, too, because, you do get evidence. The more you believe, there's evidence around me all the time, this stuff's legit. And it's funny that you bring up free will, because I'm in a standstill of I'm in a job that pays well, but it's not something I love. So I'm kind of okay, well, do I take the leap of faith and follow my dreams? The spiritual side of me says, in the spiritual community, follow your dreams, do what you want to do. But logic's telling me, okay, well, how are you going to pay the bills?
Right.
So it's just,
and that is
just, I guess it's finding that balance.
Yeah. So check this out. It's funny, as you said that, my focus intuitively is shifted to your that level of your life, that fundamental survival level of your life, which is real, as you know, because the bills do come, in the mail.
Yep, they do.
And I think so here's the deal. In a purposeful universe, that serves a purpose. That actually is there for a reason. Your bills are there for a reason. Having to think about them is also purposeful, and having to consider them is purposeful. The thing about a lot of the things that we do see in spirituality and self-help is they offer bypasses. Now, there's a time sometimes where we have to kind of jump off a cliff and hope that we grow wings. I mean, that doesn't preclude that sometimes, right? And what I'm tracking in you is actually not that. I'm sensing what it's about for you at this stage is, what is it you want to lead with that's of service to other people, and also taps into your creative side, and also resources you, in very real ways financially. So I think you're going to find, after, it feels like you got a few more months of working kind of through some of this disintegration you're in, this kind of whoa.
Yeah, the breakdown and picking up the pieces, yeah.
Yeah. It's about, honestly, I feel like 4 more months of that, but it's not it's useful. You want that because it's going to reintegrate around the both and. You can both, yes, be in something creative and be in something that's meaningful for you and connecting for you, but also, does provide for you a way to sustain yourself and resource yourself at the same time. And I think that this really is key, because I see as part of your journey, archetypally, it's about moving outside of the starving healer, starving artist into something else that's entrepreneurial, but doesn't lose the heart of the healer or the artist.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that too. I mean, synchronicity it's just been overwhelming lately since I've got my Reiki attunement. But aside from that, it's just I have a lot of big plans, and I guess what I'm trying to do is even though I'm in a place that I don't enjoy being every day, I'm trying to look at all the positive aspects of, because, okay, it's paying my bills, it's providing a roof over my head. And, before I'd go in and just totally hate my life. And then, once I kind of reframed, the perspective on which you're looking at it, my life turned around and did a complete 180. And, LOA did help a lot with that. But something I like about your teachings is that you don't really go by one strict, this is what you should do and end all be all. I kind of take all these spiritual teachings and then combine into what I believe is right. So it just seems like that is working out for me at the moment.
That's a fluidity that you need to live an intuitive life. If you do not have that fluidity, Mike, you cannot listen to your intuition, because your intuition doesn't speak through absolutes. It speaks through what the moment needs and what the cycle needs and what your awakening needs right now. So that might not be what you needed, 5 months ago or 6 months ago, and it'll continue in a way. So I think this is about your intuition coming online as well, and really you waking up to, wow, there's these parts of me that if I go to one rigid fundamentalist really philosophy, like all fundamentalist philosophies do this, they will also then cut out other guidance from getting in because it doesn't fit the philosophy, and then somehow you're in violation of its dogma. So this is the thing about really living an intuitive life. It's I'm present to the guidance as necessary and needed as it comes to me in the moment. And if I'm present to that, then I'll know, to zig or zag, or, you might wake up one day and have an absolute knowing this is the day you quit your job, and you just go,
yeah.
You're right? Okay, here we go. And it's not today. How do you know? Because right now you're going, there's too many other things to consider. And I could also tell you, hey, go back to your job. Why don't you look at all the different things that they're doing in that company and in the organization that are structurally good and also structurally dysfunctional? Because I think ultimately with you, dude, it's about you creating your own business at some point. And you'll need to know what works, what doesn't work, and where do you have passion. You clearly have passion for all things in awakening and spirituality. So that to me is a clue of, wow, there's something going on there. You start to, this is where you get clarity. You start to actually identify these things, but you identify them with maturity and without bypasses. The bypasses always in the end screw you up, because anything that we're doing that is going to be about getting out of presence, we're going to go into some kind of psychic debt from that. We're going to end up eventually having to pay some debt for being out of presence in some area of our lives if we do bypasses. No one gets out of that. Certainly not energetically. So it's like, it's about coming back and going, wait a minute. The main goal is presence with myself unconditionally, no matter what. If I can, just hang out with that, I'm going to get guided. And so maybe someday it is about more of a positive. I need to kind of change the lens through which I'm looking through. What archetypes seeing stuff? How am I looking at my life? And how might this be serving something else in development? And then you move out of the let's say the victim lens. And so great. It gives you a chance to see things. And sometimes the law of attraction does that for people, or some of their philosophies or things that are said in there. Sometimes it moves them out of the victim enough to see a potential. Other times it puts them in the victim because, I didn't think positive enough and this didn't happen for me. So it has a double-edged sword, and that's why I'm not a big fan of its side effects, because it's you usually end up falling on that sword. So it's more about
you hit the nail on the head on the first aspect. I mean, I think it did come into clarity with me, and when you mentioned a spiritual career, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, that is part of my grand scheme of what I see myself doing. So, and then the entrepreneurship as well. So you nailed it, man. It's good stuff.
Well, I want to just offer this as a final guidance and see where you go with it. Your destiny to me, when I look at the archetypes involved in Pull Your Soul Contract File, includes a lot about helping people really find their creative heart. And I think the coaching and guiding and let's say the guiding and coaching arts you would be really, really good in. And I think you do really, really well. So what I would tell you to do is start to look at what's out there. It's too early to get too, I think, serious about anything because you're kind of shattered in a good way. It's a really fun. And honestly,
it is good.
It's a great thing. Yeah. To not know is the best place to be right now for you. To not know, just let yourself receive and go, oh, let's get curious about all these pieces that just are shrapnel everywhere. But I think at the same time, and the end game is the reintegration will center around a heart-based desire to check all these dots. Yes, make money. Yes, be do really well as you can in your lane, and to be someone who encourages others and wakes them up and talks to them and helps them with their problems and guides them through dark nights and helps them see, when they're in a shattered state, you help them find and identify pieces for reintegration. I mean, this is everything you're going through right now, dude, is the pre-qualification for the apprenticeship ahead that's going to guide you on your path into the guiding and teaching arts. So hang with it. So that's it. What does that mean? Be with everything right now. This is the school. You're in the room. You're already in the classroom. I love it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Dude. You nailed it because it's just like I get a lot of comments from many different people on, thank you for talking to me. Like you just kind of made a light bulb go off in my head, and I'm totally grateful for it.
Yeah, there it is. It's already
Thanks,
moving.
Man.
So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's evidence of it every day. Like it just blows my mind how much synchronicity is happening just within like the past 6 weeks. I mean, it keeps snowballing.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, we're headed for Mercury retrograde here, so you might go through a few more bumping, shaking ups, and I just say.
Oh, I remember the last one. So, yep.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thanks for calling in and asking questions.
Dude, I appreciate your time, man. Definitely.
All right. Bye. Take care. All right. I love it. So, by the way, everyone, he's talking about a really crazy show I did. It was really profound. 2.5 hours, I think. 2.5 hours, I think. It's on iTunes. Go check it out.